Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Noedel, and with me is Heather Spaulding, editor of the Journal of the San Juan Islands.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Heather. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For more than 3 months, every Tuesday morning, Heather and I have hosted a public affairs show called Hey, What's Going On Around Here? It's great fun, at least for us.
Yes.
And for Jeremy Tyler. I don't know if anyone else is having fun with this, but we are.
I hope so.
Today, CNL2 is upsizing the program significantly. This is now a noon news show, and it will stream live every weekday that isn't a holiday. What about that? And the scope of the show is changing dramatically too. In addition to the only regular television coverage of the San Juan Islands, we will be covering news of the entire region we call the 48th parallel. Ooh. This is a huge area bounded by the top of the 48th circle, if you have that map, Jeremy. It's a huge area bounded by the top of the 48th circle of latitude on your screen there, which is also the U.S.-Canadian border, the Cascade foothills on the east, then cutting across the bottom of the 48th circle of latitude, including Marysville, Tulalip, Port Townsend, and Port Angeles, and then connecting the square by going up to the 48th parallel to include Canada's southern Vancouver Island, including Victoria, Sydney, and Duncan. This is an area of 5,600 square miles, but 80% of it's in the Salish Sea. It includes all or parts of 7 Washington counties and 1 province, and it's the home to 1 million people. Why? Why is CNL2 doing this? Because life between the 2 big cities of Seattle and Vancouver is very different. No TV stations invest much of their overall programming to the needs and the values of the 48th parallel. We don't get enough coverage from the big cities' TV stations about nautical issues, about whales, about agriculture, about the issues related to tourism, about rural hospitals, about Grange meetings, about military veterans, about county fairs. I could go on, but that's my point. CNL2 News is for those of us who care less about big city issues and more about life on the islands, in port towns, in the Skagit Valley, and in the beautiful cities of Bellingham, Marysville, Port Angeles, and yes, Victoria. Through our news coverage, we want to draw Victoria, Sydney, much closer to the San Juans and the entire 48th parallel. We have many natural connections with southern Vancouver Island, many common interests. Also, you'll see CNL2's 48th parallel noon news work very hard to support the fabric of local newspapers in the 48th parallel through this noon news program. Stay tuned. Heather has a day job, so she won't be on the program every weekday, but she's graciously agreed to continue co-hosting on Tuesdays at our new time at noon. Have you changed your mind yet?
Nope, not
Okay.
yet.
Haven't scared you off with all this? Okay. So here we go. This is CNL2's brand new 48th parallel noon news, live from Friday Harbor, Washington. So our guest today is Minnie Knych. Hi, Minnie.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Minnie is a San Juan Islander who is part of a group here that doesn't yet have a name, may never have a name, according to Minnie. We'll see. But they're 50 plus strong, and there's a lot of energy with this group. Minnie's trying to organize this group into what's called a freedom pod. Hello, Minnie, and thank you very much for joining us today. Before we get into what a freedom pod is, let's let folks know a little more about you. And to get started, I'm going to ask you the question that every islander asks every other islander, which is, how long have you been here?
We came to the island in 1991, and we were planning to be on the island for 1 day. And 2 weeks later, I packed the car with a microwave, the dog, and an air mattress, and came to the house where we had put a down payment on it.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
That's great. So, what when you worked, what was your career here?
Here, my career was the Northwest Workforce Council Career Center, and the mission of the Career Center is to serve employers by providing the best possible employees, the best trained employees, and to serve potential employees by helping them get training and upskill their skills so that they can earn more money.
And then you had a career before that?
In California, I had a 20-year career in public education.
Awesome. Do you have any other background questions for me? You guys have known each other for a long
Yeah,
time.
we've known
We've
each
been
other a
around,
while.
yeah.
Yeah.
But congratulations on your recent retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, so tell us about this group of 50 people for which there is no name yet.
It's we're a really mixed group. We came together out of concern, number one, for the recently tabled tourism destination plan that had some unrealistic goals of building bike trails that would require the county government to take over private property. We opposed it for many reasons, partly because coming out of COVID, our tourism has been really adversely affected. Revenues are down. Businesses have closed. At least, I think, 6 restaurants are not in business anymore, plus some other shops, etc. So we were concerned that this was not something good for the county. The group grew out of potluck meetings discussing the problem, and we attended the council meetings and made statements to the council during the public time, and they tabled the issue for now.
Jump in anytime you want.
Yeah, my question actually, and obviously that's fine if you don't know the answer, but they tabled it and it was going to be on the 6-year plan. Now, did they re-look at that before 6 years, or is it just strictly 6 years?
I don't
know. Yeah.
What I do think is that they or I've heard that they may put the trails piece of it into the transportation improvement plan, which is going to be coming up before the council. So.
Okay, and that's different than the 6-year transportation thing that they were. Okay,
No, that's part of
that's part of it.
yeah.
Okay,
Now, this is not the only issue that your group
No.
cares about.
right.
At the potlucks, we started this as a potluck, a general thing, what's on your mind? And a lot of things came to terms. There are, in our group, there are people who are conservative values, people who attend church regularly. There are also some people who have pretty much dropped out and like to live off the grid. They grow their own vegetables and that sort of thing. There are people that are the people who actually keep the island running, the contractors and the electricians and the plumbers. There is such a wide variety. There are people who we disagree on some things, but we always manage to agree at the beginning of any potluck that we will disagree agreeably. So we have debate. I think that's part of what politics should be, civil debate.
Now, you have a meeting. Your meetings are open?
Our meetings are
Okay.
open. We are scheduled to meet on Saturday, the 27th, at the American Legion basement. And it's a potluck, so you bring your favorite dish to share, and we'll have a lunch and discussion.
Don't show up empty-handed, right?
That's right.
Don't do that. That's so tacky. It all falls apart if you do that. You can't do that. Politically, is it a diverse group?
It's a very diverse group. There's some people who consider themselves Republicans, some who consider themselves Democrats, and some who want to belong to the I don't want to be involved group. So,
Or I don't want to be labeled.
Yeah.
I mean, by virtue
Yeah.
of them being there,
Yeah.
they're willing to get involved. So it's not. So what I'm hearing is that it's not a monolith. There's not like a credo, and everybody has to fall in line, and you have to believe this, and you have to believe that, right?
No.
So that's
There's
kind of
no-
that's nice. That's kind of a San Juan version of.
no membership requirements.
Yeah.
Right.
But do you think of it as a minority group?
I'm not sure we're a minority anymore.
Okay.
More and more people are finding that government is growing and business that supports the community is not growing. You know, these are hard times financially, economically for all of us, and yet government recently passed a pay raise, which they didn't call a pay raise, where they said they could not afford a pay raise, so they gave the employees a 4-day work week for 5 days of pay. Some of us think that's kind of not good for the budget.
Okay.
Right. And I'm hearing kind of mixed reviews from employees too. I mean, it's difficult to try to get a certain amount of work done that was slated for 5 days, and now you're putting it into 4.
Well, and there
So-
have been some departments that have come to the council saying we're going to need to hire some more people because we need to be able to serve the public at the counter, and we don't have enough time working
To
on
get
the
it
4
done.
days.
So
So-
how did that work out?
How does that? Yeah.
How did that work out?
So it sounds like this is a group who commonality mostly is they see some big issues happening and they want to try to do something and come up with some solutions.
We've
Perhaps.
Speaking for myself, I've come to terms I cannot affect what's going on in the world today.
Right.
And it's going to hell in a handbasket. But I can make a difference in my own
Community.
little area, in my neighborhood, in my county. And that's what I want to work toward doing. And it's not just county government. Our county government is made up of some good, honest, hardworking people. It's the administration of the government. I think they may have lost their way in not thinking what's best for the public that they're supposed to serve.
Now, do you mean are you distinguishing staff from the council, or are you talking
Yeah.
about the way the council does its work?
Well, I am distinguishing staff from the
Okay.
council.
Okay.
The staff that I have dealt with in the past are all good, hardworking people. I have no argument with them. I think some of the decisions that our current council leadership may have made are not in the best interests of the residents that they are serving,
Such as?
such as the planned takings of private property for bicycle trails when tourism is way down, deciding to invent a new department with 9 people, most of whom work from home, to come up with a tourism destination plan when our tourism is really controlled by our ferry system, and our ferry system is not serving us well, and tourism is suffering because of that. In a recent Seattle Times article, most of our tourists come from down south in Washington State, and people were saying, why should I pay the expensive ferry fare, have to wait in line for a long time for a late ferry, when I can just go up to another place in Washington that's just as beautiful as the San Juan Islands?
Yes, CNL2 reported on a presentation made by Deborah Hoskinson with the Visitors Bureau. I guess that was about a month ago or something like that. 5 weeks ago, in which she was kind of sounding the alarm for the town council of Friday Harbor, that she feels like she saw a serious reversal in momentum between July and August, and then it stayed in the concerning shrinking zone in September and October. And, one wonders with, I think, $239 million a year in economic impact, and I think $23 million a year in tax revenue. One wonders, I wonder, if the county is headed for some sort of budget crisis, if the county has not adjusted for lower tax revenue from tourism. That's just a question I have, I guess.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
guess
question.
I could
That's
be a
good
reporter
question.
and go start asking that question. Or you can. You can have that.
Yeah.
I give you ideas all the time.
know,
It's
you
like, you should
do.
go do this. But this is me supporting local journalism, right? It's like, you go do that. But no, seriously, I mean, has the county adjusted yet its budget for the possibility that was not a fluke? Is there anyone now you're getting in my territory here, the ferries. Now you're getting, this is my deal. But has anything happened that's going to change the minds of Seattleites when they're thinking about taking a trip here? Deborah's data showed that 70% of the visitors here are from Seattle,
Yeah.
as you alluded. So if anything, there's just this constant drumbeat from the Seattle Times. Thank you. Great reporting. Terrific reporting by the Seattle Times and terrific editorials. But if anything, it's just reinforcing the idea that there is a problem here that is not going to apparently be solved in some ways for at least 5 years. And that keeps going into print. Everybody keeps seeing that. So it's finally catching up with us. Friday Harbor is paying the price for this, and Orcas and the entire county. I'm just wondering, since that observation is so fresh, because she only shared that information less than 2 months ago. I'm wondering if the county has decided to maybe adjust the numbers, and then what does that mean? How does that trickle down? How does that? What are the dominoes there? Are we overstaffed now? So those are great questions, and I'm sure the answers will be found in the Journal of the San Juan Islands in 2 or 3 weeks.
We'll be looking into it. I wanted to look at the county budget anyway because they were going through that process. So that it's on my radar.
Yeah, it's
They are going to have to make some adjustments, but tourism is a fickle business and can be affected by so many things.
right.
We have, being an island community, we have a problem supporting other types of businesses such as manufacturing.
So would your group? I know you can't really speak for your group, especially with the diverse opinions of it.
I can't, and I'm not. The leader of the group. I'm just one of the members of the group.
Does your group ever talk about trying to attract a business or build a business here that is non-seasonal? That is
interesting. You should ask because in my former job as Northwest Workforce Career Center manager, there have been some businesses here. There are some small manufacturing businesses. Right. There's a hand cream and makeup type business on Shaw Island, of all places.
I did not know that.
There was a business that made medical supplies. They were tiny little plugs that go in your tear ducts when you have certain problem with your eyes. They were manufacturing those little plugs on Orcas Island.
Wow.
But the business has left the island. We had Island Community, Island Convalescent Center. We've had World Disc in the past, which was a very large business, and Adaptech that made computer peripherals.
Yeah.
Those businesses closed because of supply chain issues related to
transportation.
Transportation. Transportation is one of the keys to a healthy, vibrant economy, and our ferry system is failing us right now.
So your group, if I understand, Saturday you're going to be kind of polling your membership and seeing if some people will volunteer to help research the status, the successes, the failures of Washington State Ferries, so
Yes.
maybe a little bit closer. I know that there are other people. I'm going to mention a name, Tom Bridge, who's a friend of mine who's built the community water taxi with 4 other heroes. And there is this sense that we need facts. We need the truth. We need the facts. CNL too is trying to get the facts on the 2023 totals of cancellations and late trips and on-time performance. And so far, it has not been easy. So your group would be pursuing these facts?
The makeup, the structure that we want to try to start putting into place is to allow people to choose what role they want to play, to try to start taking back some of our government and our culture to adjust to a more vibrant economy. There are the watchers, those people will attend meetings and just report back. And it's interesting how politicians behave differently when they know they're being watched. Researchers are the ones you are most interested in, and those are the people that like to dig into the internet and to go down the rabbit holes finding the little facts that we need to know. Some strategists to set the strategy. The activists will write letters to the editor and wave the
good.
signs.
I'll be looking for those.
And then there's the
Job security.
Yeah.
I love letters to the editor, even if I don't agree. Like,
But
I just
it's-
love the
well, they just-
engagement and, you know.
Yeah, and to
yeah.
get that dialogue going,
Yeah.
people can learn from each other.
Exactly.
Social media team to get the word out on Facebook and Twitter and the other internet forms, and a media team to keep the press informed.
Wonderful.
And then the last one is the victims, the people that have been wronged by. I have a friend who has suffered greatly because the land bank owns property next to their farm, and there have been some real serious issues with encroachment, etc. So their stories need to be told of how sometimes government is not doing the right thing for the public.
Do you think this group's going to last? Does it feel like this is going to stay around?
I don't know. We don't have a name, and I'm not in a hurry to try to find a name for it. People have suggested some names. We're a group of neighbors who are concerned about, it's not just the county government, what's going on in the schools. We need to know more about that.
What kind of questions do you have about schools?
What kind of question about the schools? Well, why are our children that were out of school for so long during COVID, they're behind? We need to help find ways to bring everybody back up. Our math scores are way, way down.
Our literacy scores
Our
are way, way
literacy
down.
scores are down.
Yeah, and this is countrywide. This is not just our
Oh, no,
county.
it's not just here.
But what can we
we're
do?
small, and we can help here.
Yeah, and
Maybe
we want to.
maybe it's volunteer tutors. Maybe it's a voucher system for more private schools, helping the homeschoolers. There's a very large homeschooler group.
Sounds like you've found a group of 50 people who are pretty action-oriented. Is that fair?
Well, I think it's maybe some of us have been too busy with other things in life, and now we're realizing we'd better get action-oriented if we want to keep our neighbor in our neighborly neighborhood, our little area of paradise.
What do you worry about the
for
most,
people?
you personally?
I don't know. I try not to worry.
What do you want to see change?
Change. I want representation on the county council of people who understand business, who will encourage somehow business, who will advocate at the ferry system to get this ferry system back on track. The fact that we're operating with only 16 ferries right now is not enough. We need to have better ferry service. We're part of the state highway system, and we deserve better service.
Are you guys seeking out people that will run for council? I'm hearing that Christine Minnie is not going to run again. So I was just wondering.
Interesting.
It will be interesting to see, but yes, definitely we're interested in finding people. There are 2 council seats up for re-election, and we're interested in finding people who have some knowledge about budgets and business, and who are taking the job not just as a job, but to serve the public, serve the residents.
Any effort to broaden this to Orcas, Lopez, other
That's
islands?
why we're having a daytime meeting. It starts at 11:30, which is hopefully when a ferry will arrive.
So they
An
can walk on
inter-island ferry. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned culture issues. What are the concerns? What are your concerns about culture issues?
Well, culture issues are there's a little too much name calling and putting people into little compartmented boxes, and we'd like to just change that so that we're just all citizens and neighbors. There was a time in the way back on this island when this was a sleepy fishing village, and neighbors helped neighbors, and the women's study club was pretty much in charge of running the islands when the men were all off fishing. I don't want to go back to the old days, but I've heard the fond stories about how it was more neighborly at that time.
Yeah.
And we were also isolated during COVID. We're kind of coming out now and realizing we need that personal one-on-one connection.
Well, this is extremely interesting to me, I think, and
Me too.
it's a group. You know, a lot of people have heard about. They heard about the standing room only. They heard about the stiff resistance to the trails and that plan. But there's a lot more going on than that, right?
Right.
There's a whole lot more
Right.
there, and this is an open group, right? So people are
Right.
welcome to come, not empty-handed. What do you need? Salads or meats?
You
or
know,
what do you want to hope to see there?
I'm the one that wanted to have people sign up for a salad or a meat or whatever, and the rest of the group said, "Nah, let's just see what comes."
Well, you're going to
That's the way
have
potlucks are. Sometimes you have a million
Yeah.
chips and dips,
And
the next
sometimes
time,
it's all dessert.
you're going to
sometimes it's all
have
desserts.
48 broccoli salads. and
Yep.
then everybody's going to say you were right, right?
You know, one thing, going back to the trails and this idea that, you know, it's a diverse group, I noticed that during the public hearing. You didn't have just one type of person, if you will, talking against the trail. It was this wide diversity of folks that were
And
speaking against it.
it was not just the people that would have had their property taken for the trail.
No,
it
it
was
was
other neighbors
countywide.
who said, "This
mean-
is not right."
Yeah, island-wide, not
Yeah.
county-wide. Yeah.
Well, I hope you can keep the kind of internal diversity that you have. I think that that's really healthy, and to not have a credo or set of beliefs that you're expected to snap into. So it's an interesting group, and I wish you the best. I'll plan to be there Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't know if I can make it Saturday, but I will be keeping
good.
an eye on
Okay.
you guys, and looking forward to hearing letters and keeping in touch with your media people. And yeah,
Minnie Kinch, thank you so much for some
Thank you.
time. Jeremy, we're going to look at the cabaret spot here in a second if you're ready for that. Are you just about ready? So, Minnie, thank you, and
Okay.
we'll see you Saturday. Stay right there, and we're
Okay.
going to watch a little 2 minutes on the upcoming cabaret produced by Studio Jam.
Oh, fun.
Cabaret Corner is back. We've taken a little hiatus, but we're back with a Love and Laughter show for February, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, and then a special one on Valentine's night. Well, you know, love and laughter goes along with Valentine's Day, and sometimes it includes anger and breakups and payback, which will be the laughter part, hopefully. But then the love part is just some nostalgic, wonderful music from the 40s and 50s, and it's just going to be a lovely evening of fabulous entertainment. And there'll be wine and chocolate. We have been doing Cabaret Corner for 2 years. This is going on our 3rd year. And we have just had such a joy in presenting this to the community because it's a darling little venue with candlelit tables. And we turn it into this place kind of like a speakeasy where it's dark and quiet and yet wonderfully filled with all of the friends that you want to bring. We have tables for 4. We can even put 5 on a table if you need a whole table, and we've got tables for 2 and a quarter of the tickets. So, and they go fast. So normally we sell out most shows. So it's good to get your place in it. Go to our website, studiojam.com, and you can look up events, and you'll see the website where it has all the details. Tickets are $27, and then for our box seats, which are the cushioned old theater seats of the Palace Theater, and we just have 4 of those, and there's 2 on each side, and those we raised the price to $30 because they were such a hot commodity.
We're back, apparently. That was close. That was a close call. It is time for Pet of the Week.
Oh, make it bark again. All right.
Your turn.
The pet of the week this week is Amelia, and she, of course, sounds adorable. They all do. But she is a 1-year-old female lab mix. She is described as excitable, goofy, and loving. Her energy level is medium, and she must have had a blast last week because she likes the snow, learning new things, and delicious treats like we all do. So she comes from Eastern Washington, and I don't think they didn't really talk about her past other than that. But she's perking for a new home, a forever home.
Look
so
at
yeah,
that.
Anyone I know, isn't she
Who
adorable?
could resist that face?
That little face.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
what do you think of the new CNL2 48th parallel?
Oh, I think that's great. Yeah.
We're going to go regional, I think, in addition to local. But, you know, CNL2 is a reference to, there was a CNL1.
Right.
I did CNL1 in rural Missouri for 6 years. And I found that there was just not quite enough scale to it, not enough scale to ad revenue, not even enough scale to the news. So people understand we will continue and double down and triple down on covering local issues here, but there are so many things that there's a kind of a regional story. For instance, the sheriff was here not long ago talking about the fentanyl crisis. Well, there's a rural fentanyl crisis all over the 48th parallel.
Yeah. A lot worse than ours.
Yeah, and yet that story is not the same as the story, the fentanyl story in Seattle and the fentanyl story in Vancouver. So that's what we want to do, is try to deal with subjects that are important here. I don't think you'll see us hardly ever cover something that just doesn't affect Friday Harbor or doesn't affect Orcas or Lopez or the entire county.
Yeah.
but we're going to try to cover it in a little bit more of a holistic, regional way, and that also will allow us to maybe hear some solutions that maybe some other places are starting to have some traction with that we don't have yet. I also am going to let everybody know that we have been looking into the state of television news training and television in general training in similar in high schools in this region and other areas, for instance, Anacortes, Mount Vernon, and we're finding that even these smaller towns, much less the bigger cities, high schools, these smaller towns have sometimes robust television studios and television training for their students, for which there is none here. Yeah. So that is a gap that we would like to close.
Yes.
And then we're still building on your idea of a journalism club for this area, and we have a little progress. We can't talk about it just yet, but I think that soon the community is going to see some opportunities to train high school aged students here in journalism and broadcasting. Long overdue. Yeah. And it's kind of, it's going to be, once people start to understand where we stand in comparison to other communities, I think it's going to be an interesting thing. I think it's going to be kind of a problem that we didn't know about, but suddenly we know about and we have to fix.
Right.
So there's going to be, more coming there. That's it for today. Where am I? That's it for today, and we are going to go out, as we did last week, with a little music from David Messmer, the official house organist for CNL2. So take it away whenever you're ready, Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy Tyler.
Here's one you should all recognize, written by Benny Green, Body and Soul.